I kind of want to throw it back to when we were all little. This is little me. So when you were younger, everybody asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And most people said like doctor or astronaut or nurse or accountant or kind of those kind of things. But I told everybody that I wanted to own a shoe shop because I loved shoes. So I was like, let's do that. So I was super excited about that, but then kind of the pressure started to set in, and I went to high school and I realized that maybe owning a shoe shop isn't the best thing that I could do with my life. And that pressure kind of came from high school when you had all your friends asking, like, where are you going to college? And you had all your high school teachers saying you should go do this, and your friends wanted to go to college with you, and your parents wanted you to get a career that was going to make you a lot of money. I didn't do that. But out of all this pressure and out of all this stress, and I didn't know what to do about it, I turned to my sister. She's 10 years older than me, the older, cooler, wiser one, and I kind of asked her what I needed to do in this situation because I was freaking out. And she said, well, why don't you just pick something that you enjoy? And I was like, I don't know, I didn't think of that. So she was like, you're going to be spending every single day for 4 years studying this thing, and it's going to be your whole life, and you have a choice in what it is, so why not pick something that is good and that you're going to actually enjoy and that you're going to have a passion for? So that wasn't my breakthrough moment, but I like to say it's my epiphany moment, where I was like, I don't know why I didn't just think about that. Everyone gives you all these pressures on what you should be doing, but if you have a choice, then why not enjoy it? So now that I knew I needed to pick something I like, I had to think about, well, what do I like? So I had already been studying French for 4 years in high school, so I knew I was going to do French, but I wanted to add something else onto that. So I knew that I liked talking to people, I liked meeting new people in different cultures, and I liked history. So I Googled that all together, and the word anthropology came up, and I was like, okay. So I just picked anthropology, and then I picked Wesleyan because it was close, and I missed my parents. So Wesleyan and anthropology came together, and I was super excited. I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do anthropology. And I remember I went to kind of like a neighborhood party in my neighborhood, and everybody got to go around and say where they were going for college and what they were studying, and I was so excited to say anthropology, and then the lady across the table laughed at me and said, I'll see you working at McDonald's. And I was like, okay, well, so I was going to prove her wrong, and I was going to study the crap out of anthropology, and that's what I did. So I came to TEDxIWU in fall of 2013. Super nervous. I was like, I don't even know what anthro is. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it. So I was starting to get a little nervous kind of about where this was going because I just focused on my gen eds first and my French classes first, and I just ignored all those nervous feelings, and I studied abroad. So I studied abroad in Rennes, France, and it was like the most amazing experience of my whole life, but that can kind of be a whole talk on its own. But I studied abroad, I got all my French out of the way and ignored whatever anthropology was. And then I got back to campus, and then because I'd finished my gen eds and I'd finished all my French credits, it was kind of my time to go into anthro. And again, I was feeling nervous because sometimes it's studying the skulls on this side of the table, but then sometimes it's looking at your own cultures and your own tribes. So I was like, let's just do this anthro thing. So I did, and then thank God I actually fell in love with it, and I was like, I did pick the right major, and I started to realize how amazing anthropology is. And that was mainly because of a professor called Chuck Springwood. I don't know if any of you guys know him, but I'm his biggest fan. I don't know if he knows that, but I am. And he had two main classes that I took with him. They were race and racism in America, and then the second was gender in a cross-cultural perspective. So I learned kind of about how even the word race developed, how racism developed, who started it, and how we perpetuate it, and how it's part of like our everyday discourse. And then in my gender class, I learned about how sexism is in different countries, how gender is, and then how the patriarchy started, and then kind of like why girls wear pink, why boys wear blue, and why all this comes together. And this was kind of where my big breakthrough came through, because I realized how messed up our society is and how there is a lot of oppression and things that have built up to put down other people. So I thought, now that I've learned all this, I don't want to just not do anything about it. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. So I thought, now that I know all this, I think that's where I want to go with my career. And I was finally like, yes, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. So that was kind of my junior year of college when I realized that I wanted to go into social justice or social work. And that was my big breakthrough, that TEDxIWU helped me so much, and Chuck helped me so much, and anthropology taught me that there's somewhere you can go with anthropology, and that is into social justice and into social work, because you learn a different perspective and you learn how different people work and you learn how to connect with different people from anthropology. So I thought I wanted to use that to go through something like social justice or social work. So, like mentioned before, I now work as a child and family advocate. I'm on the right, and then we have a therapist and another advocate, and we have a support dog, and his name is Jock, and he's the sweetest thing, and he's dressed as a rock star for Halloween. He's our biggest fan. So, like you mentioned before, I work in the investigative process of child sex abuse cases, and it is a really hard job. I cried on my first day and called my best friend, but once I started to realize that the work I was doing was making a difference, I think that really helped. It's a lot nicer when you wake up in the morning that you know you're working for somebody else and you're not working for yourself. If I sleep in, I'm not screwing myself over, I'm screwing out the families we serve. So I turned that passion that I had for anthropology that came through all these years of taking classes and turned that passion into what I wanted to do. So I like to say that I have a really meaningful job, and that kind of makes my own life happy, knowing that I have passion for it, and that was TEDxIWU who taught me to pick my passion and to go forward with it. So I wanted to any other students or any other people who are starting a new career or starting a new job, that it's okay to pick something that you enjoy, because you can be selfish with your own life, and I think you can choose to do what makes you happy. So if art makes you happy, then do that. And I think there's a lot of stress on people who don't pick like accounting, no offense to accounting people, or physics, or things that go directly towards a job like that, because it's your life, and why not pick something that gives you passion, because overall you're going to be happy with it. And I think these people don't get credit, people that pick things like anthropology or sociology, psychology, philosophy, any of those ending in those ologies kind of get looked down upon, but they're the ones that are making the big difference in our communities. So just so you know, I'm not like BSing everything I'm saying up here. There are some stats to back it up. This shows that only 27% of the people are working a job that's related to their college major. So just because you did study anthropology, you don't have to become an anthropologist out of that. There's so many different ways that you can go. You can become a social worker, you can come and do whatever you want. So if you're coming into Wesleyan undecided, I'm jealous of you, because you have the whole door open to you and you don't have to take all the pressures of this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, so you have a choice in that. And then, like I kind of said before, even if you go to Wesleyan, you're going to succeed and you're going to get a job, and I don't want you to feel kind of bad just because you didn't pick a really typical major that's going to make you a bunch of money. This just shows all the different avenues that you can go when you pick these majors. You have a really open door. Like I am that tiny sliver of social work, but there's a whole bunch of other ones that people can go through. So when I first told everybody that I was studying anthropology, and they were like, what are you going to do with that? And I was like, well, I'm not going to work at McDonald's, which I don't. I think that it's good to reply back to somebody, well, what can't you do? Because that door is so much more open. If you study nursing, you can go into other things, but if you study one of my majors that I like, then the door's more open, and I think you have a lot more opportunity to go forth with your life. So I loved anthropology here at Wesleyan, and I think it was the best major, and I know a lot of people don't know what it is. I didn't either until I Googled it, but I studied anthro because it was my passion, and then I turned that passion into what I do now in the social work, and I love that now. So that's it.